This is my presentation on Mike Leigh. It's just a picture of him. My favourite quote, which is, "There's a constant drip and trickle of life that goes into one's awareness, really, and consciousness of things." This is my favourite quote of Mike Leigh's because even though it doesn't sum him up completely really well, it's really true, and it focuses a lot on the way Mike Leigh used to observe people and how drama's going on around us all the time, and I think that was quite good. As a practitioner, he's got 17 films, between 1971 and 2018, which he's making the most recent one. He's got 13 films. He also has theatre. Some of these include Bleak Moments, High Hopes, Life is Sweet, all the way up to his most recent one currently in production, which is Peterloo. He's stated that, it's hard working with quite small budgets, and he could get more money if he used quite famous actors. He uses the example of Johnny Depp, but he doesn't really want to, and he's just sort of refused in the past. He wants to keep it how he's had it. He also said that he's quite lucky that he's been able to produce so many films without any other sort of interference, and he quite he's really happy that he's got that opportunity. His education was quite interesting because when he was a lot younger, he's talked about it in his life, but his parents didn't really support him so much in doing drama, and he went to sort of grammar school, which had quite a good tradition of drama, so must have been a bit awkward, but then he got a scholarship into the RADA, which is the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, and even though he had his doubts, he went anyway, but found himself sort of against the policies. He described it as laugh, cry and snog. That's what he was being taught rather than actual real acting, so he left it and went to a different school and went from there. He took his inspiration and just sort of tried to make his own way of drama, which was the improvisation that he then made where he works with the actors. In his home life, he's married, has 2 sons, they broke up. She appeared in 7 of his films, so must have been quite a good connection there. He lives in London at the moment. He's supported a few sort of things like the Hacked Off UK for press self-regulation and some other things. And overall now he's made 17 feature films, and he's quoted on it, like I said earlier, about the fact he's never been interfered. Not a great deal known about him. It's quite hard to find information about him, but 2 years ago was when he spoke out about how his home life was quite difficult for him. And he's got 8 awards, which is quite a lot, and they're all from different places. He's got 4 BAFTAs for Best Direction, Best Original Screenplay, and 2 others, and he's got some National Society of Film Critics and just a few other ones. That's all I've got. It's quite interesting. So.
Has anyone got any questions they'd like to ask about Mike Leigh to Jack?
Can you tell us a little bit more about his process?
So he starts off with the actors, and he gets them to write down things they know about someone or people, characteristics, and then he eventually narrows it down into a character that they want to do, and he makes them improvise with each other as characters. I think it was Abigail's Party, one of his films, he had the actors improvising for 10 hours in a barbecue scene, just 10 hours of straight work, which must have been quite straining, especially considering they have to be in character the whole time. But he makes them work, and that's how he makes a basis for a script instead of starting with a script and casting roles, which is quite unique to him. Quite a good way of doing it.
And why do you think that's an effective way of building character?
Because it makes all the characters really realistic, the way he builds them, but then also the interactions. It feels really real, which is something he quite values, the way that everything's not faked, it's not scripted, even though it is. It doesn't seem like a piece of theatre. It seems like something that could happen in real life. That's what makes it more emotional.
Does anyone else have any questions? I've got one more. Can you see any difficulties with his work? Any things that are difficult to do? Any cons rather than the pros? Anything that...
He has to spend a lot of time with the characters because he works with each actor individually when they're making it, and say you had a big cast, that's a lot of time to be putting in, which is why I think he's quite happy that he's been able to just sort of do his own thing and not be interfered, because I don't think under time constraints he'd do that well, but fortunately he doesn't seem to have to, because he can set his own sort of constraints of when the film comes out, so he's sort of worked his way around one of the few cons because of his method, I think.
And another final question, apologies, but why is his work, or what section of society would you say his work is most accessible or relevant to?
Probably towards sort of the working class. It's not as dramatic, it's much more realistic, which is sort of based around I think our sort of working class, in the things that happen to us will happen to him, because he would maybe go on a bus and observe how people interact, and that's generally going to be working class people interact. So then when he builds a plot out of that, then that would be much more tailored to us.
All right, thank you very much.